I'm Miley, and I'm with KCPR, Cal Poly's radio station at the Shabang Music Festival in San Luis Obispo, and I'm here with the Undercover Dream Lovers. So do you want to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your project and what it's like to be at Shabang?
Totally, yeah. Yo, what's up? I'm Matt. I'm the Undercover Dream Lover, really. Like, I write all the music, I produce it at home, and then the homies come out and we kind of like reconfigure it for the live show. And kind of every time there's an opportunity, we get to like dig deep on what we want to do, like sonically and musically with the songs, and kind of extrapolate on like the recordings. And this is Jacob.
Yeah, I'm Jacob. I play keys with the Undercover Dream Lovers, and like Matt said, I'd come in with a little bit of knowledge of the songs, and it's cool because they're already so cool, and he's willing to change up the arrangements, and it makes it really fun to have something so different live versus the recordings.
Yeah, it's always been like I feel like my like biggest inspo with like getting into music was just to like going to like live shows when I was like 18 or 19, and like I feel like the time that I started doing the project, like it was the big like Ableton, like everybody started like making music on their laptops and stuff, but I always like kind of had the spirit of wanting to like do the live show thing, so it was always like really important to like want to make sure it was as much played as possible with like new ideas and changing it and experimenting like at in the live aspect. Yeah, so it's been super fun. We actually just totally redid like everything for this set. We played like 5 songs that like aren't even out, which is really fun. One came out yesterday that we played called Scattered Dreams. That was super cool. But it's fun to just kind of like, you know, get in the rehearsal space and just kind of like try new things. And sometimes I've even like have some that I'm going to like reinterpret because of like the shows like this. So there was like one today that we end with that like, yeah, I'm either going to put it on the record or not, put it on the next one, or just drop it one day. But it's kind of been this thing that's been like developing for the live show, which is really, really cool. I love doing stuff like that. Yeah. Here you go. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask because I've heard your recorded music. Do you record that all independently? Is it your solo project?
Yeah. Yeah, that's mostly just me. I have like times where friends come in, or like producers or other collaborators will. I guess like in New York when I sort of started out, it was like mostly me, and then in Los Angeles, it's like really normal for people to like do sort of like speed dating sessions with like writing and stuff, and it's like really fun, and you always like learn something new. So I've definitely done a lot more of that in the past couple years, and some of the new material that I'm going to be putting out has a little more collaborating on it. But as far as like the process and like the actual sound of the recording stuff, that's kind of been like sort of my baby of like, what do I want to do, how do I want to explore it, and I'm always kind of like trying something different to learn something different. Essentially, it's like exciting to have like take a different approach every time it's a different song and stuff. I really like that. Yeah.
Well, how would you describe the sound of your music? Because I personally would describe it as, you know, dreamy. It's in the name, kind of laid back, and I was surprised by how high energy the performance was.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I've always like been really into like bands that really bring a ton of energy. We got really lucky to tour with Parcels a couple years back, which was really fun. They have a really great live show, and L'Impertrice was a really good live show. So those naturally had like big influences. When I was younger, I definitely like was into Dr. Dog and like Portugal the Man, and they had like really sick live shows where it was like still like early days for them, and it was like 200 cap rooms, 500 cap rooms and stuff, and it was like really loud and really like just actual like rock and psych and good songs too though. But yeah, I think like what did you ask? It was like the process or whatever. Oh no, the describing it. Yeah. It was like I always kind of get a little stumped, but I usually say it's kind of like dreamy, but like a little groovy, little like the bass lines really like carry through. So there's always kind of an undertone of like dance to it, and yeah, I think just extrapolating on it for the live shows and trying to like have cool endings and transitions and like extensions that like we jam out a little more, because I feel like sometimes when you're like, you know, when you're listening to a recording and there's this guitar solo thing that's really long, you might not want to, it might just be a little like distracting for whatever reason. But like at a show, I feel like it's like you're in the moment, it's really exciting and it's really invigorating, so it's cool to sort of like take ideas that you maybe didn't put into the final recording and then extrapolate at the show. Yeah.
It definitely seems like there's room to be a lot more experimental, and everyone's there to feel the music. I really liked the moment when I think your other keyboardist got off the stage and was running around. Yeah. Could you describe what's going through your head while you're playing, like at a festival of this size? Mm-hmm.
A lot. There's definitely a lot of moving parts, and like I like to be really involved with like the setup and the things we're trying, and like I'm kind of like a nerd about like how we run our sounds and like helping out with our like in-ears and our mix and stuff, and like because of that like there's always kind of like a million things going on in my mind like from the rehearsals, but ultimately like when I've like had to teach myself, and like we all kind of do it at some point you sort of just gotta like be beholden to the moment and just kind of let go entirely, and like there's just some balance of like muscle memory that's kicking in, but also like trying to be present and like also like not like forget your next mark or something like that. And I think like the biggest takeaway is like no matter what happens, whether it's like sounding good or bad or anywhere in between, like if you just like try to have as much fun as you can, it's like always gonna like just be that much better. So like that's kind of like the headspace I try and retain. And like I always go through like a thing where like like before I'll like amp myself up a lot, and we'll kind of like all be jabbing at each other, and then I'll kind of like mellow and zen out and kind of just like go between like that before the set and like get like really my adrenaline going, and then calm, and then like right before the set I do like one big adrenaline thing, and then like try to walk on stage really calm. And I don't know, it feels like it's like you're not going to be like tired or something when you walk on stage if you do something like that. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts
With the thoughts on live?
Yeah,
I like what you said about like wave of emotions leading up to it, because I feel like the set kind of calls for that sonically. It's funny, like last year we played 40 shows over the summer, and then this show, this is just a one-off, and we rehearsed a lot before it, but this was pretty much it. So it was
like a rhythm to it.
Yeah,
That we didn't have.
there's a rhythm to it. That, like you said, the goal is to like be in the moment and feel where we are and what sounds we're making. And when it's just one show and it's so quick, you're like thinking logistically about. There's pressure.
Well, we kind of have like a little bit of a technical setup too right now that we're like trying to like really dial, and it's like just like running like a lot of different kind of sounds with the synthesizers, with doing like kind of things we hadn't done before. And like I think in that with all those moving parts, it's like there's sort of the pressure of a funny thing is like, so this one synth we have like has this touch panel thing, and like it just decided to not work today. And like it's this thing where like I have to like turn this thing on and off, and it takes like literally like 3 minutes to set up, 4 minutes, but it doesn't seem like a long time. But like when you're like there and like everything's like going down to the minute, it's like that's a long time. Like that's a whole song. So it's like so it's like that thing just happens, and you're kind of riding off the adrenaline, trying not to freak out when inevitably something like that usually will happen, and then just kind of riding it out. So yeah. It was good. This place is super cool. I mean, like the weather's been like nice. Like it's not too hot, and it's like I feel like because of all the rain this year, that like the grass is like super luscious, and it's like we're all like, this is like paradise. So that's kind of like what our headspace has been like. We're just having fun making music. So in a beautiful place. So really glad to be here. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask because at the end of your set, you invited all the audience members. You said you're going to be around and invited them to come talk to you. And I was wondering how your interaction with the community and just the venue has been.
Yeah, I still have to get out there a little bit more. Like we kind of just finished packing up and then came over here. But usually I say that at a set because I always like to like some people get nervous and like don't want to like bother somebody. But I think like it's always really fun just like when you're really excited to see somebody, and like even just to say like, oh, I love that, like means a lot to people. And like I think it's like a nice way of just being like, like come say hey. And I think every time we do that, and I anticipate that when we go out, people are always like more likely to just come and be like, we love that, and it just creates a relationship. And then you see them maybe at another show and they were like, say I was at Shabang, and it was like it just kind of creates this little storyline of like, because you do remember those like little moments even if they're like really brief. Like it's cool. But yeah, everyone's been like super pleasant here, everyone helping out, and I think everyone in the fans and everything's super cool. Yeah.
Okay, so I have some fun questions for you. We've been playing games with some of the artists, so I thought up a few ethical dilemmas and or thought-provoking questions if you want to play this game with me. Yeah, both of you can answer. Yeah, so hopefully you have some contentious opinions about these ethical dilemmas. But the first one is the classic trolley problem.
The which one?
The trolley problem, are you familiar with it?
The trolley problem?
I can explain it anyway. So imagine you're standing on a train track and you have access to a switch that can divert the train to a different track.
Right.
And there's 5 people tied up on the track that the train is currently going on.
Right.
But you have the opportunity to switch the train to a track that has 1 person on it.
Right.
What do you do?
Okay, so it's headed towards the 5 people, and then I have to make a choice to go to one, and it's gonna go on one path or the other. We switch it to the 1, right?
Yeah.
But we're more involved in of doing that.
Oh, I see. You're the one who made the choice to.
It's a circumstance that's just difficult. What are you gonna do?
I think I would honestly, assuming there's only seconds before I have to make the decision.
I'm the 1.
Oh, and you're the one. Yeah, I'd for sure transition. I'd kill our fearless leader in a heartbeat. I think, assuming it'd be seconds before having to make the decision,
In the moment.
I would panic and just start screaming, and then it would happen, and then.
So you wouldn't have switched it. You wouldn't have been able to switch it.
I wouldn't have switched
You would have
it.
panicked.
It would have just happened.
I feel bad, but I probably would switch it. I would probably switch it.
Thank you for your answers. Yeah. Well, because you have the moral responsibility. Like you have active action if you switch it, even though it's killing 1 less person. That's why it's an ethical dilemma.
Saving 5 and killing 1. It's bad.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I have other questions akin to that one.
Okay.
So, let's say you had the power to see into the future, and you saw that an acquaintance was going to die in the near future,
Okay.
and you knew how and when they were going to die.
Okay.
Do you have a moral responsibility to tell them that it's going to happen?
Oh.
Love that.
Because you could just take them out for a really fun day, week,
Yeah, true.
and
Yeah,
not tell
that's-
them and try and have a good memory, not have them worried about it, show them a lot of love, and then be, hey, listen, Jacob, this is it.
No. I think
Don't say anything.
I think a big part of
Maybe you
life
don't,
is
maybe you
the the unanswerable and the confusions.
But then we know.
But we know, I think, like you said, we could give them a powerhouse of a week
Yeah.
leading up to it,
And just let him go.
and just
Or
let him
whoever.
or her.
Right.
If it were my mom, you can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be like, do the fun thing, then the tough love thing. Probably. Yeah, you're gonna die. Sorry. Okay.
I have an addendum to the question.
Yes.
So, what if telling the person would change the outcome, though?
Oh. Well, so what would it change?
It's kind of almost a real.
Do we? But we know or we don't know.
You don't know if it will change the outcome, but it could.
I'm thinking about a friend who does really dumb
But if it could change,
stuff.
if it could
If this
change-
is a real life situation where you have to be like, hey, bud, you got to stop doing what you're doing. And you change their life, potentially.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you think about it like this, if it's not gonna change, and you know they're gonna die, then maybe it will change if you tell them. I think is how I was hearing it. So if you tell them it's at least a 50-50 now, that they won't die.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, got it.
So I'm gonna tell them for sure.
Okay. Beautiful answer. So profound. Okay, I have one more thought-provoking question for you. So you're a songwriter, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that music can ever be truly original? There's only so many chord progressions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I think yes, in ways it's really interesting because I think like ultimately like you can't help but be influenced by everything around you, whether that's musical like or just other forms of art like movies or just your family or nature or anything like that. So you're already going to be like influenced, and there's going to be like a cultural kind of like overlap in what that's why I feel like you'll see people doing similar things. There's always this weird thing I think it happens with, it's like a zeitgeist idea or something, where like everyone's all of a sudden like everyone's working on music videos and like all these different artists, and then like all of a sudden everybody's just for some random reason doing a cowboy music video at the same time, and everyone's been prepping, not talking to each other, but then everyone just like made a cowboy video that year, and I'm like, what? Like I feel like I've experienced that time and time, and I think it's just being. A while ago I had a video with like a more cowboy aesthetic and a hat. It was a while ago, but it was like a thing, and I guess the point is like yeah, so like I think like inevitably like cultural influence is always sort of affecting art in a way, like it's a part of it. But I do think like because musically, yeah, there are only so many chords, but there's like so many possibilities and variations of how you decide to bring those ideas together. So I think because of that, like that's your unique perspective, and if you can like recognize that you can like learn something, and then like I mean some people, I've even heard this thing I liked before, it was like some of the best stuff that people respond to is like somebody like trying to do something and then sort of messing it up and like kind of do something a little different unintentionally, but it's kind of like close, so it's like sort of mutated a little bit, but it's familiar, but it's different, and like so that's kind of a cool thought. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's like yeah, there's tons of opportunity to do something that's like kind of against the grain, and if you're aware or not aware, do something that like feels fresh or exciting or just like different, and whether it's musical or like aesthetically or sonically, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Great. That was all good. Yeah, I think of like me wanting to share with people a version of me that they can relate to, and I am, like you said, just like a conglomerate of things I listen to or experience or see, and it's cool. It's kind of like dreaming, where these random things combine, and it makes it unique in that sense. Everyone's talking about like the AI stuff nowadays. So that's like an interesting thought of like your question of like, is anything really unique? And when you consider AI with that, it's like our job is to make it as like human and fingerprinted as possible, I guess. Does that make sense?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I'll talk about AI way too long, so maybe I'll just.
I was gonna talk about AI as an ethical dilemma, and then you brought it up on your own accord. So
It's in the zeitgeist.
yeah, it is in the zeitgeist right now. You're so right. But yeah, the stuff you said about music being original, it kind of reminded me of what you said earlier about letting the live performances drive what your music is going to be like in the future. But yeah, so thank you guys for talking to me. I was going to ask, like, what can we expect from Undercover Dream Lovers in the future?
Yeah.
That's it.
So
No, you can answer this one.
So basically, yeah, I just put out a track yesterday. I have like a ton of music. I basically like made a record a while ago, but wanted to explore more stuff, and just basically finished another one, pretty much dialing a few things and some mixed stuff that's like getting ready to try and like do the like get the vinyls and stuff going. But like we're hoping to basically do a bunch of more like local stuff in LA for like a few months, some residencies maybe, and that's kind of on the agenda, and then trying to do like a tour next year in the fall with like a record. So it's like a bunch of material that's sort of just like queued up and ready to go. Everything's sort of like I've done things like independently, so it's kind of like at sort of my whim. So the goal is sort of like next month to drop another single, and kind of each month have stuff rolling out, and just kind of like tie that into this whole like experience of like playing with some of the songs that we're playing here, and then go do a big tour with it and stuff. And yeah, so that's the headspace. Yeah, we're pumped. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'd love to. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.